Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Overcast Podcast. I'm Corey.
I'm Wes.
And today we are thrilled to be joined by none other than Dylan Sizemore of Frankie and the Witchfingers. Dylan, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I'm good. Taking it a day at a time, you know, with everything that's going on. But today's been good. How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. All right. There's some shit going down at work, for my work at least. 3 people tested positive for COVID.
Oh God.
So, you know, shit's kind of on a hair trigger over there. But we're staying safe, wearing masks, social distancing. So, you know, and it's a news station, so we can't exactly be like, you know, I'm just not going to go into work today. So
yeah, you got to tell the news every day.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
So,
well, stay safe.
For sure. Trying to. Wes, how about you?
Doing good. At my work, my boss has been on vacation for like the past 3 weeks, and he just came back today. So, boss, if you're watching, we're glad you're back.
Oh, that's
No, he's a good guy.
Where do you work, Wes?
What was that?
Where do you work?
A little sign shop here in our little town. Of course, I make signs, but I'm also learning how to solder and build shit. It's kind of like an apprenticeship, really, but it's fun. I like it. I made these things up here, except for that. But yeah, it's real fun.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! Does it say Rat Sabbath?
Yeah. We were going to play a show doing Black Sabbath covers, but our band's called Minced Mice. So I was like, oh, let's call ourselves Rat Sabbath. So I just changed the logo and screen printed it.
That's a really good name. I like it.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
I don't think it tops Mac Sabbath, though. The McDonald's cover band of Black Sabbath.
Yeah, I've seen them, and they're crazy. Like, to play Sabbath songs is already like a feat, and then to do it in a fucking Grimace costume, like I don't really understand how they pull that off. But
they're insane.
Good.
You've actually seen them live?
Yeah.
Dang.
Where have you seen them?
I saw them in LA. I can't remember what like the theater was. Maybe the Fonda. But I guess they have to sign like an NDA before when they join the group, that so they can't like tell people they're in the band. But my girlfriend Nikki's friends with like I can't say who, but like one of the members. So we went to go see them play.
That's badass.
It's so funny, like, to be secretive about a band you're in, but yeah. So yeah, they were great. I think there was a mariachi Metallica cover band as well.
Whoa!
Yeah. There's a bunch of weird ones. Me and Wesley and our other friend Justin, we spent like a whole night just exploring different bands like that, like Metallica, but like
Beatalica.
Like,
I like Beatalica a lot.
Beatalica. It's like Beatles songs, but they were all Metallica songs. It was crazy.
I gotta check that out. That sounds up my alley.
I think their best album is Sergeant Hetfield's Motor Breath Pub Band. That's a great one.
Damn, the things just keep coming.
Yeah. I feel like it all just starts with a pun, and they're like, let's just fucking do it.
Yeah. It just snowballs.
Yeah. All right. Well, getting into the nitty gritty here. That's enough fun. Let's get into the serious shit. Yeah. Enough about Mac Sabbath. So, of course, we all know that you are an incredible musician. And one thing that we like to kind of delve into is the origins of that. So, like, how did you kind of get into music to begin with? Just mainly, like, solely you?
Me as an individual, you can go way back. I guess like music, I've always kind of been a listener. Like that's how I view the world. Like some people are more visual. I think I'm more auditory. Maybe you are too, because of the glasses. I feel like that has something to do with it. Like you just hear things more. So I can remember even being a child and like, you know, just like tripping out on sounds and stuff. And then I grew up in like a pretty like half religious, half not religious. I'm from Kentucky, so there's like Pentecostal religion there. So my cousins were in like a kind of Pentecostal like gospel group, and so I played a lot of music with them and sang in church and kind of like, you know, when I was like a toddler. And then and then I had an older brother. I have an older brother, and I always got turned on to music by him and his friends. So even when I was like, you know, 7 or 8, I was kind of listening to more like teenager music, which, you know, none of it was like cool stuff. I mean, it was cool. I like it, but you know, it's not considered like edgy or anything. But I would be like, you know, 8 years old, like listening to like Rob Zombie and Eminem and stuff, like Nirvana. That was the first time I got really into like guitar driven music, was Nirvana. And then I kind of went down this like, that's kind of when I picked up guitar and started learning guitar and learned a bunch of Nirvana songs. So yeah, that's kind of like the beginning of being into music.
And how did that sort of transition into, like, what led to starting Frankie and the Witch Fingers?
So like, yeah, so I guess I moved out of my parents' house when I was like 18, and I moved to Lexington to live, Lexington, Kentucky. It's kind of like a bigger city. And so I moved into this like punk house with all these like older people, like, you know, like people that were like 30, like in their 30s. And I was like, you know, just out of high school, but it was this really cool, like house, I guess you call it a punk house. Like they did like house shows and stuff like every weekend. And back then I was really into kind of like folk punk and folk music, like singer-songwriter stuff. So I was doing that and living in that house. And then eventually the guy that was kind of doing that and like had a label out there, he was like, I'm going to move to Bloomington, Indiana. I hear it's like, wait, you know, there's a bigger scene there. So I moved to Bloomington to like kind of do the same thing, like follow the music, and wanted to meet people. And then in Bloomington, I met everyone I know now, the old guys that were in the band, and Josh, who's still in the band. So yeah,
cool. And sort of at the beginning of like, so the inception of Frankie, like when you guys first started, I mean, maybe necessarily you weren't called Frankie, but just when you guys started jamming together as like a group of friends, what were you guys like? Were you guys wanting to play originals already, or was it just covers? Or
so like when I met everyone who started in Frankie, Glenn, Josh, Alex, they were all in like a couple bands. Like Josh and Glenn were in Triptides, and then they had this other band called Prince Moondog that was basically Frankie and the Witch Fingers minus me. Add this guy Alex Barrett. And so when I met them, I was in a band at the time, and I was kind of like a little jaded. Like we weren't doing enough, or at least for me. Like I wanted to play more shows and write more songs and rehearse more, and they just kind of weren't doing that. So I met Glenn playing shows, but one night I like specifically, we were at like a karaoke bar, like hanging out, and he was like, yeah, you know, I've been recording other artists, like other than myself, like trying to get into that. So like if you ever have any material and you want to come by, I'd be happy to record you. And so I went over there the next day, and I had all these songs stockpiled that like my band never wanted to work on. And it was kind of this different thing. Like I had imagined it being more like, almost like I really liked King Kong and the Barbecue Show. And so I had it in my head as like me, kick drum, guitar, very raw. But Glenn was like, oh, you know, I can play the drums. I have a drum set. So when we were recording these songs, he was adding drums. Like, you know, I'd show him the song real quick. He'd play through it, and then we'd track it. And then, you know, like however many songs later, like that's what Sidewalk is. Like, so we hadn't even really started the band. It was just kind of like, he was like, I'm down to record you. And I was like, cool, I have all these songs that I've been wanting to play with someone. And then he like, you know, put it all together, produced it. And Josh was like, they were living together. So Josh came over and put some guitar on it. And I think I play bass most of that album, which is really bad because I had never played bass. But yeah, so that's how it started. It was more of like a recording thing. Yeah.
That's really cool that you kind of jumped like headfirst into what would become recording Sidewalk.
Well, it wasn't the intention, you know. It was kind of just like he wanted to record someone, and I had songs. So I was lucky in that way of just like meeting up with someone, and like the way Triptides were doing things, Josh and Glenn, it was kind of similar. Like they would have a song, and then that day they would record it and kind of write it all at the same time. And so I lucked out because I had never really been a part of a process like that. So when I met them, they kind of like let me into this process of just like, oh, you've got a song, we'll record it, we'll overdub whatever, and then, you know, you got an album. It was weird.
Are you, because I know the Beatles did, like, I heard Paul McCartney talk about like how him and John, they'd be like, yeah, we'd have a song and we wouldn't leave until we'd finish a song that day. Is that sort of how you record, or are you kind of like, yeah, I have this idea, I'll maybe record like a little bit of it now and maybe revisit it later? What's your process?
Back then it was definitely more like that, and that's because of the way they work, especially Glenn. He was kind of a completist. I think he still is. Like, I'm sure, you know, Triptides has like 4 albums they've recorded right now that no one's heard. Like, yeah, he's that way. And so like, you know, I'd come in with a song and then it would just be like, yeah, let's get it done. We just smoke hella bowls and like get it done. And that, you know, it wasn't like, I guess there wasn't the intention of like, we have to get it done today, but it felt that way, the way we were working, just like, okay, that works. And it's kind of cool. Like, I think now we take our time more and want to like, you know, like to have things be cleaner, but then it was so raw. And so like, you know, it was on an 8-track, like cassette, Tascam, like, what are they called? 448 or 488. I don't even know my stuff, but you know, I wanted those little 8-track recorders, and it was just so blown out and stuff that it didn't really matter. You didn't have to be like super precious about it. So, does that answer? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that was good. Was that sort of transition from, was that like a natural thing, wanting to record like cleaner stuff and take your time with it, or was that more of like a natural or more of a conscious thing? Like, no, this, like with your newer albums, are you like, I want to make sure that this is as good as we can get it, or, you know, how did that process sort of work?
I think it was a slow process, because like Sidewalk was literally like, oh, I came to your house and then boom, like, holy shit, there's a record now. Or it wasn't a record, it was cassette. Later to become a record. But, and then from there it was kind of like, oh, this is a really cool process, and kind of like then adding my own, you know, like getting used to how they do things, and then being like, okay, well, now that I see how you do this, like maybe we could actually write a song and then rehearse it, and then we could record it. And so we started doing that. There's a couple songs on Heavy Roller, like I know 6,000 Horns is like, that's all of us playing live. And that was the first time that had happened. Before then, it was just me and playing guitar and Glenn playing drums, and then everything else was overdubbed. So that was like a slow process. And then, you know, like right before Zam, when I think, no, we did this on the 7-inch with Glenn too, like the Drip T 7-inch. We kind of rehearsed the songs and then played them. And so like, I think gradually it just became more part of the process of like, oh, we're going to like play it live. And so now where we've arrived is like, we want to, you know, write the songs almost in their entirety, maybe even like record a rough version of them to really, you know, hammer out like the details and listen back and come up with more stuff. And so it's just gradually gotten more like, you know, zoomed in to like being able to rehearse things and play them through live.
Do you think you'll ever release like Frankie and the Witch Fingers like demos, unreleased jam sessions in the studio, something like that? Because I think that'd be really cool.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, there aren't so many demos like of song, like that's kind of a newer process that we've been doing. So I think it could be cool in the future when we've like gathered enough of those demos. Yeah, so like, cause like we basically, you know, over this last year of doing absolutely nothing, we tried to spend a good amount of our time like making a rehearsal space that's also kind of a recording studio, and try. It's just like this new process we're trying where we want to like record, you know, we'll record our rehearsals, and then, you know, in between rehearsing songs, we like to jam to keep it loose. So it's like, now that everything's being recorded, we just have that jam like recorded pretty well, you know, because everything's mic'd and stuff. And so, yeah, I'm not sure if this is like our process. We're kind of in the middle of figuring it out. But if it is, I think we will have a lot of demos. So that would be rad.
It would be rad.
Oh, yeah.
I had mentioned on the deep dive that we had done of you guys, that the Realization demo that's on the B-side of the Pleasure 7-inch that you guys have, that's really cool. I really like the way that sounds.
Yeah, there's something about that, right? Where it's like, I don't know, like some people even are like purist about it, where they're like, you know, the first time you capture it or close to the first time you capture it, like that's the essence of it. And so it's just trying to find that balance. And like, I think that comes through in demos. Like sometimes you just can't top the demo because it was just so fresh and so like spontaneous, and then you've kind of overthought it so much that you kind of like beat it to death a little bit. And maybe it's got more like, you know, shimmer or whatever, it's got a little more going on, but like sometimes the bare bones of it is like that's, you know, the essence of the thing, and you're like, you know, you respond to that just as much as you would something that's well produced.
Yeah. Well, that's not the case with Realization because they're both great. The studio version is great.
That's like the Alanis Morissette thing is like, you know, I think half of Jagged Pill is like, you know, because it's like the music industry, right? So they have these demos, they send them in, and they're like, okay, now you have to do like a better studio version of it. And Alanis is all like, no, I think these are the tracks. Like, there's no way we can beat this. And then, you know, they do it anyway because they have studio money or whatever. But then like even they do that like highly produced versions of the song, and then, you know, they bring them back to the major label or whatever, and they're just like, okay, you're right, demos are better.
Yeah. One thing that is a pretty good segue from that is talking about the energy of your studio stuff. So I've seen a lot of bands live, or a few bands live that I hadn't heard their studio stuff yet, and I was just like, wow, like their live energy and like just live presence is incredible. I'm like, I can't wait to check out their studio stuff and, you know, get amped and stuff. But then I listened to it, I'm like, the energy doesn't really match, you know. But with Frankie the Witch Fingers, I listened to all of your stuff first, from Zam and then before, and I was like, God almighty, like this energy is insane. And then I saw you guys at Levitation a few years back, and the energy was ramped up even more. I was like, Jesus Christ, I didn't know this was possible. And I was just wondering, like, how do you match that energy level in the studio? Like, I don't know if it's kind of a compare and contrast to live stuff, but just how do you get that energy in general in your live studio stuff?
I mean, I think playing live together has a big part of that. Like, you know, that's where that comes from a lot of the time, is like, and I'm glad that's been more a part of the process, because as that, you know, that goes back to like how much you like if you record 2 versions of something versus like trying it like 10 times, it's like usually the like first or second time you do it just has more energy, because you're just like, yeah, let's play the song. And then by the time you've like played it over and over, it's like you lose that energy. And so, yeah, I think you know, in the studio, obviously you don't move around as much as you would live, but just trying to still put out that. I think it just comes to, for me, it's about just like being sucked into the song that you're playing, and a lot, you know. So if it's a high energy song, then I like to be high energy just to keep up with the music, and then, you know, if you record it live, I think that comes through.
Mm-hmm. Definitely does. Was that how you recorded Zam? Was it live recordings with that?
Yeah, that's all. Just like bass, drums, 2 guitars, scratch vocals. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. Is it? I don't know if like the musicians realize, like once they've released an album and it's kind of settled for a few years, if like you would realize that that's kind of a staple in like the psych, like the modern psych genre. Because getting into psych whenever we first did, it was just like, you know, I had mentioned this in the deep dive also, like we saw like OC's Ty Segall, Giz and stuff, and then one of the ones that always popped up too was like Brain Telephone, Heavy Roller. So that was, you guys have always sort of been cemented in like the psych overhead that me and Wesley are engulfed in.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've like, if the musicians realize that like it's crazy.
I mean, that means a lot, man. I mean, psychedelic music, I mean, you know, like anything, like psychedelia as a whole is like almost like a religion in a way. Or not a religion, it's such a shitty word, but it's just there's some spiritualism involved in psychedelic music that I feel like that maybe isn't in other music. It's like transcendental. Anyway, the point is like to be held with those artists, you know, that I've looked up to so much is a huge honor. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, you try not to compare anything we do to other artists, but like it's bound to happen. And honestly, like it's usually you know, it's a compliment. It's like it means a lot, like to be compared to bands you admire. Yeah. What do you guys like? What do you guys dig about psychedelic music?
Me personally, I like. I mean, it's so vast. You can do so much with it. Like, it could be garage psych. You can have like spiritual psych. You can have like Beatles kind of psych, like George Harrison kind of like, you know, Indian inspired or Eastern inspired. You can do so much with it, and I think that's why I really love it. And seeing psych bands play live, it's a lot different than watching other genres play live, because like if you go to a punk show or whatever, like, yeah, there's a lot of energy and, you know, you could feel the emotion, but when you go to a psych show, there's just this aura around the whole audience. I remember I saw Mild High Club live one time in like this really grimy, like shut down building, but it was one of the best shows I went to because like you could feel everyone's energy there. It was just amazing. Sorry for going on that little tangent there, but
no, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, for Wesley and I, it started young, I think, because that's what we bonded over is like the Beatles. So like, and Pink Floyd and stuff like that. So like psychedelic stuff has always kind of been our go-to. And then, I mean, growing up in the time that we grew up, there wasn't much of that we knew of. Like we had said, it was like System of a Down and we
Red
were
Hot
really
Chili
into
Peppers.
Yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers and stuff like that. So like just rock stuff and like heavier rock stuff. But we kind of went through like a reawakening in like
in high school, like 2013, 14.
Yeah, we found like Tame Impala and Temples, and that's what kind of just, you know, we were never the same since.
Yeah.
It kind of does that. Like, I mean, I have a similar experience. I feel like I got into psychedelic music pretty late for like, you know, most of the people that I know. Mm-hmm. Like when I moved to Indiana, it's kind of like, I think someone actually turned me on to like the Nuggets compilation, and then like, you know, I heard the Elevators and I was just like, what is this? Like something just clicked, like this is home for me. and then just, you know, digging into more of that stuff. And then like there was this kind of more like modern psych scene happening in Indiana with this like a record label / like kind of collective called Magnetic South. And they have bands like Apache Dropout. I saw OB&3s for the first time there, and that was like almost like it's like, I mean, now that I've seen Iggy, I can say that it's like, oh, it was almost like seeing like a early Stooges show, and that really connected the dots as far as like what, like how live music can be psychedelic. So yeah, I feel you guys on that. It's like there's something different about it. It's like it's more than you know, it's more than the energy, the raw like aggression of punk or something. There's some kind of thing happening when you see a really like honest psychedelic band.
Yeah. That's a big reason I really love Levitation, because it seems like a kind of hub for artists of different kinds to go and meet. Like there's the live, like they do the Liquid Light Show artists in the back, and then there's like cameramen recording everything, and then the lights and stuff, and you know, the band, it's a creative wonderland pretty much, like everywhere you look. And that's another big reason like I really like live psych stuff in particular. And speaking of live psych stuff, you guys are coming back into live shows soon. Yes. After what has it, a little over a year now? What is that like? What is it like going back into it?
Oh man, I'm so excited. I mean, it was so weird because like it was this kind of like transitional period that we were going through. You know, with like Alex, who used to play bass, was leaving, and Nikki was taking over, and then we had all this stuff lined up, and you know, we were really excited. We were going to do South by and tour, and just like getting really amped about it, new record to tour on and stuff. And then it kind of just like all went away. And then, you know, this like, the last year and a half has just been this kind of wild ride of like, you know, like uncertainty kind of. So it's so nice to have this like light at the end of the tunnel of like, for me, like live shows are like, it's becoming very obvious that live shows are really important to my mental health. I need it. So I'm excited to get back to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys finding you have to kind of dust the cobwebs off the old machine, or is it just jumping right back into it? Feels like home?
Yeah, no, I mean, we've still been playing together, especially over the last couple months. Like we've been working on some new material and working on our set and stuff. I think the only like cobwebs that we're really knocking off are just like all of these songs are new to Nikki, and she's killing it. Like, you know, she's an amazing bass player. And picking it up really fast, but like, you know, it's just like these songs we've toured on, you know, 2019 we were like on tour for like half the year, and so a lot of these songs are just like riding a bike for us, and you know, Nikki's getting used to that, and but it's been a really it's going really well, and I can't wait to play more shows with these new songs and old songs. Some of the songs are old actually, so they're even new to like Sean. Like we're playing some kind of stuff off of Heavy Roller and stuff. So
very nice, exciting.
Hell yeah.
I'm actually going to see you guys at Levitation again with Kikagaku Moyo at that show.
Oh yeah.
So I can't wait. It's funny because I actually talked to Kikagaku Moyo 2 episodes ago.
Cool.
So it's gonna be a little reunion, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's gonna be Halloween, right? So like,
yeah, it's Halloween weekend.
How wild is that?
Yeah.
Even more psychedelic, everyone dressed up in weird masks and shit.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll summon actual spirits and shit.
Seance, let's do it.
Yeah. It's funny that you were saying that like you kind of began like singing in like a church and stuff like that, and I was like, that's kind of funny looking like the liner notes of Zam and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's like, I think that comes with like being around religion so much that you kind of like look at the other side of it. And I have I honestly, so we recorded that with Zachary James, who is in a band called Twin Temple with his wife, Alexander, and they are real life Satanists, or they follow that. What do you call it? It's not a religion, but that's like that's their thing. They're really into that, and I think some of that kind of seeped into what we were doing, just hanging out with them, and like thinking about all that stuff, sex, magic, and all that.
Yeah. I've Twin Temple is great. I've seen them live when they opened up for Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats. It was a great show. They were incredible. That was the first time I had heard of them. So jumping into them head first live was like, what is this? This is a new experience.
They do the ritual.
They do the ritual and everything. Yeah, it's insane.
It's so cool.
But we'd like to talk a little bit about some album stuff. But before we get into that, we have to end it right now because Zoom. So I'll end it, and then I'll invite you within the minute.
Alrighty, I'll see you on the other side. Alrighty, I'll see you on the other side.
Well, welcome back. Hope you guys enjoyed your intermission. Grab some snacks. So yeah, we left off talking about, we wanted to go into, I wanted to delve into some of the, some choice cut songs that I just have to talk about with you, now that we have you here in the flesh, in the virtual flesh, I should say. It's a great name for a song, Virtual Flesh. Write it down. Just credit me. Give me credit. But I have to start off with it is my favorite song that you guys have ever written, and it's Let Love Be Love on Brain Telephone. And I talked about it on my deep dive, on our deep dive of you, and I was saying that I don't know what it is about the song that makes it seem very, like it makes me very nostalgic for some reason. And I don't know, it sends me to another place when I listen to it. I don't know why. Like it has that effect. And I just wanted to know, like, is there a story or anything like writing that song? Because lyrically, it seemed very, I don't know. Just tell me about that song. I just wanted to know.
Well, thanks. I'm stoked you like that song. That's like one of those songs that I felt like most subconscious about. I feel like those like slower ballady songs, love songs. Sometimes I'm like, oh God, why did I put that on the album? So it's nice to hear that someone really likes it, that it's your favorite song. That's kind of surprising, but awesome. That song was super, like, musically was inspired by the Everly Brothers. I'm like, I love them so much. They're from Kentucky. They're like, anytime they're on, someone puts them on, I just like stop listening, and I'm just like honed in on that, like, whatever song it may be. Their harmonies are just amazing. But yeah, so I guess I was kind of like, musically I wanted to do something inspired by the Everly Brothers, which, that's really hard to do. And I think most of it's like not like, only the chorus has like the harmonies. So I don't know if you would even consider it that, but yeah, that's what I was shooting for. Lyrically, it's like, I think I just had this realization of like relationships and how like it doesn't really serve a purpose to, like be like question like how much someone loves you, or how, like, are we going to be together forever? Like all of that stuff. I feel like it really gets in the way of just being like present and in love. And so I think that was kind of the message of that song. or whatever, or whatever anyone else thinks it is. It could be something else. I don't want to define it for anyone, but yeah, and I'm trying to think of like the instrumentation. I feel like I just had the chords and then like all that extra kind of like it's I think that what's cool about playing with the guy like Glenn and Josh at the time, or who I was playing with, and Alex, is like when I would like go into a style, I feel like I wouldn't have to tell them the style. They would just kind of like instinctually like pick up on it, and then that would be the direction everything moved in. And so there's a lot of these older songs, at least, that are like kind of really stylistic, like I can't think of one right now, but something like Vibrations or something. It just has a very like specific style, and so playing with those guys and them just being able to like hear that and then like add to it and really bring out that style. So I feel like that's what happened with that song, and all that stuff at the end, like those crazy harmonies and stuff. I think that was Glenn's idea, to do some like huge ending, like massive layered stuff.
Yeah. That question was more so just for my personal gain. Like, it's not in our notes or anything. I just had to ask about it.
Oh, right on. Well,
but I mean, that could lead into you did mention like the slower songs, like Lovely on like Heavy Roller, for example. Would you ever consider like doing any of those songs live, or is it kind of just like because your set is very high energy, like you had said earlier, and watching you guys live, I definitely get that. But would you ever consider like throwing in one of those songs just as a kind of breather while people can go and find their shoes in the crowd and stuff?
Yeah, right. Oh man, like Lovely. I think like I'm totally with you. Like breather songs are super important, especially for us jumping around all the time, and then for everyone in the audience too. But I feel like you don't want to take the energy down too much, and those songs are like I almost would rather see like play those songs in like a set that was like catered to be more of a soft set, which I would totally be down for, and honestly would be so sick.
I think that would be.
Yeah, it'd be more of like a what do you call it? Like an unplugged type of deal.
Oh, that'd be incredible.
Yeah, I'd be really excited to do something like that. But yeah, I don't see us like adding that song in particular to the live set. Not much for the drummer to do,
Yeah. Would you ever consider doing, now that you got my mind racing with all these kinds of ideas, like would you ever do like a slower album, or is that just not something you're into?
I wouldn't write that off at all. I mean, it probably wouldn't be an album that we'd tour behind, but I would love, the more we figure out our studio and like we can just crank out more material, I totally want to explore all kinds of different, genres or styles. So yeah, I would definitely like to do a softer record.
That's very exciting to hear, because I really like when bands like have their albums that are really good live. A lot of the songs are good live, but then like when the Beatles stopped touring, they came out with Sgt. Pepper, and they just lived in the studio basically. I like that a lot of bands nowadays are kind of, they're still touring, making touring albums, but also like stripping it back. So please do that. Please make a stripped down one. That'd be really cool.
Well, thanks guys. That's a really good idea. And like the more I think, like that's one of those things that you overthink, and you're like, no one wants to hear slow, like unplugged, whatever, like love songs or slow shit. But if you guys are into it, there's probably more people out there that are into it as well. You're your harshest critic,
Yeah. Well, whenever that inevitably happens, just make sure you credit us, and there'll be no lawsuits involved.
That's the name of the album, like catered by Corey and Wellesley.
That'd be great. Picking it back up a little, what goes into choosing Because you said going back into touring now again, you're kind of looking back at like older songs and stuff. And that kind of has me wondering, like, now that you guys are on Greenway, or you've been on Greenway, now that you're repressing all your older stuff, because one thing that I really like about you guys a lot is you seem very like hands-on and sort of DIY in a way with your stuff, because you guys do a lot of the artwork. And you know, it seems like you like to keep everything real in-house for the most part, when you guys can. And with this new Greenway, like repressing of vinyl that you guys have, you're redoing like all the liner notes, and you're adding spot UV gloss like on top of the original cover, which is just more cool shit to look at when you have the record. And is that affecting, like, what is it like revisiting that older material?
Oh, thanks. I'm glad you like the reissues. It's been really fun. Like, yeah, ever since we partnered with Greenway Records, it's just been like, Harry, who does Greenway Records, is incredible. Like, he works so hard, and he's like always just coming up with ideas. And so, yeah, it's kind of like once you get that team that's just kind of always feeding ideas and wanting to like move things forward like Harry does, and you know, all the artists we work with, it's like that's what makes going back and playing these songs and like getting into the older stuff exciting for us, because it's like, you know, like Harry wanted to remaster everything, and so now it sounds way like thicker and just, you know, it's like the lo-fi stuff is cool too, but there's something about like, you know, having all of the frequencies there. I think we used to be a little jaded by the old albums and how they sounded. And so, you know, even remastering them has kind of like excited me more for those. And then I think, yeah, like definitely a DIY ethic has always been like super strong in the way I like to do things and the way we like to do things as a band. And then Harry is just someone who's also in that mindset, and he is just working so hard and becoming like, it's like we found someone that we can build with. And so that's been a rewarding partnership. And then to be reissuing all these albums has been really exciting, because for the longest time they've been out of press. And so we play shows and we only have, you know, Zam, or now we'll have Zam and Mepham, and now we'll have almost all of them, and we're working on having all of them. And so that in itself is really exciting, to just be able to like turn new people on to the old stuff, or people that just like didn't get the old stuff, that don't want to pay out the ass for it. Like, now they can, you know, actually get it. And and the arts stuff is just, that just makes it like, that's just the fun part of like, okay, we're making a new record, so what, you know, what can we do? Well, how can we be creative with it? And that's where the UV and the liner notes and stuff come in. It's just something fun, you know?
Yeah. It's really cool, because it seems like it's very attention to detail with those releases. Like, just like cool little things, like if you get all the represses, like you could line up the liner notes and it makes like one big art collage thing. And we're still missing one more. We're waiting for that last one.
I'm literally working on it, like right here.
Oh, cool. But yeah, it's just really cool. And
thanks, man.
Besides all the music and stuff, I know Wesley wanted to ask something. You know, we usually, because we like to get to know the person, you know.
Sure.
So we got to know the musician a little. So Wesley, why don't you go ahead and...
Yeah. Starting off with an easy question. What kind of hobbies do you have? Like, what do you like to do just besides music for fun?
I love to draw. I mean, I'm really fortunate. Like my partner, Nikki, or some people call her Pickle. She's an amazing designer and artist as well. And so we've always worked and collaborated on art. And so that makes me feel more excited about working on things, because I've never really considered myself to be like an illustrator or anything like that. But just having someone to bounce ideas off with and kind of partner on art makes me want to do it more. So I've been drawing a lot, which is it's a nice meditation, especially in this time of like not being able to like pour energy out to a crowd. I can at least pour it out into some kind of drawing or something instead of, inside, which is dangerous.
Yeah. One thing that I really like about your artwork is it's very detailed, and there's very little minute things. Like, you really like to get in and fill in like each little crevice, and it's really cool, like looking at like Brain Telephone, like that album cover and stuff, and just looking at all the little things that you've hidden in there. It's
like
really cool.
Where's Waldo?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
On DMT.
That's one of my favorite album covers of all time, and the original die cut sleeve for that record. I bought the repress that you guys did, but I had to go out and find one of the originals so I can have the die cut sleeve, because it's just absolutely brilliant. I had to have it.
Thanks.
Yeah, so it's great.
That was Nikki's idea. The die cut. That was all her. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like a controversial thing. Like, can we do this? And then, I think it worked out because it's tasteful. It's like the women that are in it are empowered and they're like rock stars, and it's not, it's not like women are ornaments or anything. I think we try to do it tastefully, but still, it's like a fun little secret.
Yeah, I saw she had posted about it a few weeks ago. I guess it was the anniversary for Brain Telephone, and it was really cool. It's probably one of my favorite, like, it is my favorite die cut sleeve on record, because it's so smart. Like, I never would have thought of that. Are you into, like, other than, like, are you into like reading at all, or because lyrically, like, your music and stuff, it sounds like it comes from a very like sci-fi place. And I was just wondering, like, do you watch a lot of sci-fi or read a lot of sci-fi or anything like that?
Honestly, no. Like, I mean, I've never been one to read. I think it just wasn't like instilled in me as a kid. Like, none of my parents were into reading, and I didn't have friends that read. It's probably just from coming from like a less educated part of the country. But I really enjoy listening to like philosophy kind of like talks, or like, I'm really into Terrence McKenna. I guess I have read some of his books, and they're dense, but I think a lot of the ideas for the lyrics and stuff come from either like psychedelic experiences I've had, or other people talking about psychedelic experiences they've had, or like right now I'm really into Ram Dass. I've been listening to a lot of his lectures, and that's been, I wouldn't call them lectures, like talks. I like long form talks, especially people like that talk about like philosophy or their crazy mushroom trips. There was this guy Kalindi E who passed away, I think this year actually, from COVID, unfortunately. But he's awesome. He basically would take like 30 or 40 grams of mushrooms,
Jesus Christ,
and do these lectures about like what it was like to go into the like subatomic world, and stuff like that always really inspired me visually and lyrically. Big into that. Big up to that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we can talk about this. If we can't, I could just edit it out. But what do you think has been like your most beautiful experience in that realm? That's a good way to put it, I guess.
Experience. Oh man, I mean, just experiencing stuff with my partner is always really beautiful, because we're just so close, and like you know, sometimes it's not like it's all not fun and games. Like sometimes it gets heavy, but then on the other side, you just feel closer and more in tune and more like, you know, on the same page. And so that's been a beautiful part. And then honestly, recently, just like I've had these crazy experiences that have kind of like awakened things that I need to work on. And I think that's really healthy to do, you know, like to work on yourself and yeah, I think a lot, like they're not fun trips or experiences, excuse me, but they are necessary.
Yes.
And so that's if that covers it. Yeah. What about you? You guys have any beautiful experiences?
One time I had this one particular beautiful experience where I took a substance and I set the bath, you know, pretty warm, and I listened to, is it Green is the Color by Pink Floyd? Is that the name of the song? It was yeah, I forgot, sorry. But anyways, I listened to that song, like a live version, and I was just sitting in the tub and I was taken away. There was this swarm of lights that turned into like a silhouette of some spiritual female figure. And she was like inviting me to come with her down the rabbit hole, I guess. And I thought it was really cool. I was like, there's no way this is real. But I was kind of hesitant. I didn't go. I was like, I don't know if I should go. And by the time I, you know, decided like, I'm going to go with this woman, she was already dancing away, and I came back. I was like, whoa, that was something else.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful.
I still wonder what that means to this day, but I guess don't hesitate. Just go do it.
Yeah, go with the flow.
Yeah.
It's always a good mantra.
What about you, Corey?
Yeah.
I know I'm boring. I like beer.
That was the most perfect answer right now. It could have been more perfectly timed. You're tight.
Yeah.
That's cool though. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you talk about music, like honestly, I think the coolest experiences I've had as far as music and experiences are like with like early on in the days of the band, we would like, you know, we'd hang out and make tea and then listen to albums. And I'll never forget listening to Ram by Paul McCartney.
Oh,
dude, and just like the idea of like the way he structures music, it just all became this. It was just very inspiring moment of like, oh yeah, like you can take like two different, completely different sounding like parts of a song and like transition them and make them work together and have this like, you know, like ever changing thing. Like songs don't have to be like perfectly symmetrical, like verse chorus for, you know what I mean? Like listening to that album and hearing just the ever changing structures was like mind-boggling.
I can't tell you how many times me and Wesley have gotten like super drunk and have done the exact same thing. Listening to Ram. It's always Ram.
It's always Ram.
Yeah.
Like we always go back to it. I'm like, what do we put on? Be like, let's listen to Ram. So, but I now that we brought this up, I have to ask you, Paul McCartney or John Lennon?
Oh, I mean,
overall, everything.
Overall, everything. Honestly, probably Paul. Like, I dig John. I think Plastic Ono stuff's really great. Ram's just like one of my all-time favorite albums.
That's all you need.
It's like it's such a pivotal moment in music because it was like home, or it wasn't home recorded, but it was kind of inspired by his home recordings, and it had that feel, and like it was so honest. You know, he had his wife in there. Like Linda's not the best singer, but she still like makes these really.
They made it work. Yeah.
Yeah, and that album is so deep. It's like hard to touch, and all the stuff before that. I mean, like, my machine, my machine.
I was listening to that song the other day. All the deep cuts. But yeah, so
Paul
for sure. I'm the same way.
What about you, Wes?
He's a John man.
I'm a John man.
Yeah.
Sorry to say. It's just I love his lyrics a lot. That's he's the one that really got me into music and wanted me to pick up the guitar in the first place and try writing music, even though I haven't written in years. But Corey has been showing me some more Paul McCartney music after the Beatles, and I was wrong before. I used to kind of hate on Paul. I don't know why. Dumb kid, but...
Well, I think there's a balance to that, too, where it's like in the Beatles, I think I favored John. His songs were edgier. He was pushing the envelope a lot more. He wasn't like... I don't know. Some of the Paul stuff gets too whimsical, like too like I'm British, and you're like, we get it.
Look at Maxwell's silver hammer.
What did John call it? Granny shit.
Granny shit. Perfect. Yeah. So I feel you. I mean, they're both incredible, right? And that you couldn't have one without the other. They were perfect. The perfect balance of one another.
Yeah.
That's cool though that John turned you on to playing guitar. I mean, what a cool like influence to start with.
Yeah, it was specifically the the home demo of Strawberry Fields. When I first heard that, I think they played it on the Love compilation. I was like, I love this song, but I've never heard this version. And I picked up the guitar that Christmas, and it was never turned back. Except I should practice more, but.
The second part of the Ram story, we get drunk and we listen to Ram, and then probably halfway through the B-side of Ram we start arguing about who the better Beatle was. And that's how we end the night mad at each other.
We end up like I turn into John Lennon and Corey turns into Paul, and like we're doing accents and
it's terrible.
Acting scenarios out.
Oh my god, I'd pay money to see that.
I've been telling Corey we need to like set up a camera somewhere and record some of it. Maybe not release all of it, but
yeah, we could definitely not release all of it because it gets pretty edgy.
Yeah, it gets real personal.
Yeah, we're like, oh well, John did this and Paul did this, and we're just like, whoa, let's bring it back a little.
Yeah. Not the art, not the person.
Yeah. But anyways, that was a fun little Beatles tangent. I always tell Wesley, I'm like, me and Wesley could do episodes and episodes just talking about the Beatles.
I think people would listen to that for sure.
I feel like there's too much of it already, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's true.
But okay, so before we end the show, we like to do a little segment of listener submitted questions, and I'll read a few. This is off Instagram. This is from Ian Oh God. Sorry. Ian J. Sands, I think, is what it is. Sorry. But his question is, favorite opening bands from past tours?
Oh, that's cool. Wow. Dude, I mean, they didn't open for us. It was more of a co-headline tour, but Stonefield are incredible. Touring with them was like awesome. I mean, they're really fun to hang out with, but also like musically, they were just so tight. I mean, it's crazy because they're all sisters and they've all like been playing music together for like so long. But yeah, just like witnessing that every night, just like that tightness and that and people reacting to it was so nice. They're incredible. Yeah, Stonefield for sure.
Cool. Well, I have to throw this in there. One of the the tours that you guys did that I'm really envious of. Well, there's a bunch, because I know you guys have played with OCs at a show, and I was just like, God, how did anybody make it out of that show alive? Like coming off Frankie and the Witch Fingers and OCs, but also Psychedelic Porn Crumpets and you guys. Jack from Psychedelic Porn Crumpets was actually the first episode of this podcast. So
that's awesome. What a good guy to interview. He's so just oozes kindness. Like,
yeah, He was super nice.
Yeah, love that guy.
This next one is from Instagranders with a Z. What's your favorite artist at the moment that gives you inspiration?
Dude, I really been digging into like Fela Kuti. Just like, there's so many albums, and it's so cool because they're all like, most of them are like 2 to 3 tracks, but they're like, you know, these like 15-minute tracks, and then yeah, I'm really digging Fela Kuti right now. The rhythms, the like message behind the music, like it's really inspiring. And then like, yeah, he did a live record with Ginger Baker that's incredible. Like I've always been like a rhythm person. Like I like melody and music, but like drums were my first instrument, and I'm a rhythm guitarist. So anything that's like heavy rhythm is up my alley. And I've recently just been head first into Fela Kuti. It's awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
You guys dig Fela? Listen to that at all?
I don't think I've ever heard.
I'm gonna definitely check him out later today.
It's incredible.
How do you spell that?
FELAKUTI. There's his story is like amazing. Like if you find a documentary about him, just like the adversity he faced. I mean, like the entire like Nigerian government was like against him because he was like outspoken about like colonialism and how things were in the government, and so they like burned down his commune and
God.
Just they killed his mother. Like,
Jesus Christ.
He went and made a song about it and was just like, you know, this is happening, and just telling the world. It's super inspiring and powerful stuff.
We'll definitely have to check that out.
Oh yeah.
This next question is from Hammock. They asked, Dylan once described their sound as interdimensional cat traveling. How would he label the band's current sound?
Label it.
First mistake.
That's probably why I said something stupid like that. No, I don't know. I mean, yeah, we like psych rock, or like, I don't know. We like a lot of different types of music, and so I think it is like hard to. It's not hard, but you don't want to like live inside any kind of bubble. So like,
yeah,
you know, I think we're really into funk right now too. Maybe you could call it not funkadelic. That's already a thing. Sorry, a really awesome thing. That's something else I've been really digging. Fela and funkadelic.
I love funkadelic.
So good.
I saw that you guys had a video. I forgot what it was on YouTube, where you guys are talking about your favorite albums, and Josh chose Maggot Brain. I was like, yes, that's one of my top albums also.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's great. Because you guys are really into funk right now, can that kind of lend to what we might hear coming out, or?
Yeah, I would say so. Some of it, you know, like Shaughnessy, our drummer, is really into that stuff as well, and so yeah, we've been digging into it quite a bit. Everyone's into that stuff. Nikki's into that stuff too. We're all kind of digging into the funk world. Not too much. It's such a fine line, you know, like white people playing funk music. You don't want to mess it up. But rhythm. It's all about the rhythm and the pocket. That's really what it is. It's just stuff's gonna be more pocket.
We talked about when we were on our monsters eating people eating monsters part of the deep dive. We talked about how incredible Sean is. Like all the percussion bits in that album are incredible. So yeah,
he's incredible. He's an inspiring person to be around. As someone who really enjoys rhythm, to be with someone, to play music with someone of his caliber, and watch his mind work with drums, it's really inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to wrap things up, we always like to ask, what does the future hold for Dylan, Frankie and the Witchfingers? We know you're working on some new stuff. If you can maybe give us a little tidbits. If not, then just give us whatever you can. What does the future hold for you guys?
I mean, yeah, we're gonna release some new material soon, very soon, that we recorded in our space that I was talking about, the like practice space. We kind of set up a little studio and have been doing some stuff on our own. Josh has been like killing it, just like learning more and more about recording and mixing as we go along, and so I'm really excited to get that stuff out. And then yeah, we're just gonna try to kill it on this tour. We got like 6 weeks of shows, and we'll have all the fun we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen that that new practice space that you guys have been working on Instagram. It looks really cool. Like, it looks super cool.
Thanks. It's been fun. It's a little cave house, like cave to go into and forget what time it is.
All right. Well, super excited for what the future holds for you guys. Really excited to see you guys at Levitation. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and stay safe and stay clean out there.
Thank you so much. Hey, thanks for taking the time to do this, Corey and Wesley. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. And yeah, hope to see you in Austin or somewhere else soon.
Of course. All right.
Yep.
Have a good one.
All right. Take it easy.
You too.
See ya.
Later.